going to come back to you, Misha. Having your child, some things seem overwhelming in life, and I'm sitting here looking at your beautiful mother, beautiful daughter, and you just seem very well rounded. But how do sometimes people fall apart if something happens.
Yes.
Tell us how you dealt with that and what was going through your mind.
Well, when
How
she
you
was
found agencies and things.
when she was first born, I thought she was the most beautiful baby that I had seen. Apart from my oldest daughter,
Mm-hmm.
and when the doctor came and examined her eyes, he told me that she had cataracts in both eyes. And at the time, I didn't understand the severity of it. And so, after I brought her home and I took her to the doctor, and he told me that they need to remove the cataracts immediately so that she can get light in the back because it was destroying her optic nerve and preventing the light from getting to the back of her optic nerve, which she would lose vision. I was devastated when I had a sit down with the doctor, and for years it was difficult for me to accept it. I'm like, I went to the doctor, I took care of my health, I did not understand it, and the more research I did, I've realized what had happened, that it was through contracting German measles. And so Misha has had, before she was
I also have
3 years,
glaucoma.
3 years old.
You have glaucoma
I
now.
have glaucoma now.
She has,
Okay.
yes, she had, by then she had had 6 surgeries.
Wow.
And it was difficult every time.
And it's
And
hard
that
for the
it was
mother
very
to hold
difficult
your
for
baby and see
yes.
your baby going through
Yes.
these things.
And as mothers, you look in the future. And all I could see that my daughter would not be able to have a full life because everything is so visual. And as she grew up and at 2 years old, I wanted to make sure that she was able to get every service that was available to her because I wanted her to be fully independent.
Yes.
And so in the very beginning, we had people coming to our home and tossing balls back and forth to her, eye hand coordination. I put her with the greatest Detroit Society for the Blind. And they provided all kinds of services. We went everywhere, to Ice Capades, Sesame Street. But then she was still needing surgeries, eye surgeries. And it was my faith in God that did not occur, that strong faith, until she was 10 years old. And then I realized that I don't have to carry that burden, that God would, and He did.
And look at this.
And
beautiful
I
young woman
am
now.
just, I couldn't be happier.
Yeah.
I could not be happy, but it was a very heavy burden
Yeah.
of taking her back and forth and sending her off into surgery after surgery. Oh, that didn't work. We got to go back in. We got to do this, and then we need. And in the course of that, she had glaucoma, and then glaucoma. I had to find one that would deal with juvenile glaucoma because that wasn't common.
So that means medications and different surgeries. I just had a surgery just recently, but that was more cosmetic for my eyes to kind of even level them out because I
Okay.
was kind of bothering me. But
I think your story is very, very common, and my parents told similar stories because they had never known anybody who was blind. And one of the things about Greater Detroit Agency that you mentioned some of the programs you went to early on. We're hoping to get back to doing more programming for children as well. Right now we service anybody from 18 on up. But it's quite a shock, and it's a family thing. So not only do we have support groups for the person going through it, but we have them for families. And
How do you
Yes.
find the client? Do you help find people? Because sometimes I know working in a college, we have what's called the access department. So students that come in with any type of disability, we want them to get connected with the access department so that they could get the special services that they need, maybe longer time for homework or a person to go around with them to classes. But oftentimes they don't want to do that because they don't want to be deemed different. So do you have to, is it incumbent upon everyone to find you, or do you all work with, how do you find people that might need your services?
I think it's a combination because we're so long lived as an agency. Once we
63
reopened,
years?
yeah, once we reopened, people found us pretty quickly. The National Federation for the Blind, the American Council for the Blind, our consumer programs, they do a lot of help in making these programs known. Well, how do you think, Misha? How that people are finding us?
I thought people from the Greater Detroit Agency for the Blind and Visually Impaired found the agency through sometimes through the bureau, sometimes through the hospital.
Yeah.
With the their doctors.
Yeah.
Well,
Certainly the
resources.
Bureau,
One
the
of
Bureau of
resources.
Services for the Blind is a big connector. Ophthalmologists are often the first person who says, you know, this is a good program to check out. Word of mouth.
How did you find it?
Through the doctors, through
Through the
ophthalmologists.
doctors. Okay.
Yes, that's
Doctors,
how.
ophthalmologists.
And yours was early on.
Early intervention.
Very
is
early
important.
intervention. You were barely two. You were not in. I had started taking you to preschool at 2.5, but it was at that even prior to that.
Early learner.
Yes, she
Yes.
was, and I was just determined that she would just, you know.
My mother mentioned about me living a full life.
Yes.
And tell her I am extra independent.
Oh,
My
And
mother,
too
always
independent.
said, my mother always said stubbornly independent.
Stubbornly independent. Yes. Yes.
So I'm like, well, I'm here to help. You
So
know,
what is
you
your
have
life
also.
like now, Misha?
My life now. Well, it's going well. I live alone. I own my own home. I've been living alone for 20 years now, and I am thoroughly independent. Whatever I feel comfortable doing, I will do, and I will let someone know when I need assistance. So I use public transportation, and
Now, do you use the cane?
I
or-
do use the cane. I do
Okay.
use the cane.
We're going to show your dog before we go, Kathy.
Oh, okay.
And you mentioned well, Kathy mentioned she has her master's from Wayne State University. I also have a master's degree from Wayne State University.
And in what area?
I interpersonal CBT,
All right.
cognitive behavioral therapy.
Good.
So I am studying to retake the exam so that I can get fully certified, fully licensed. So I'm looking forward to that.
Awesome. So tell us about some of the programs that you went through and experienced with the Greater Detroit Agency for the Blind, and how was it? How was the interaction with the other youth that might have been there? Because Kathy said that right now the agency is servicing 18 and above, but there
Yes.
was a time when you were there,
Yes.
you started as a youth.
I did. And like my mother was saying, there was a home program for youth, infants and young children to help them with basically motor skills and mobility and gaining independence. Also, as I became an older child, there were programs for, there was Disney on Ice. I remember that one. I remember.
That would be fun.
I missed
Yes.
You
Yes,
missed
there
that
was
one.
Disney on Ice. And we were also on the news speaking about that.
Okay.
And I was one of the children who spoke about that as well. I think I was about
Awesome.
age 6 at the time.
Got your public speaking in early.
Yes, I did. I did. And also, there was when I was older, there was a program for the youth that would that were graduating from high school, and that would help prepare them for college. It was a summer program. I remember in 2000. I was a little older then, but I was still participating because it gave me the opportunity to work, have a summer job, and to get paid through the Upshaw. Well, it was Upshaw at the time, but Greater
Yes.
Detroit, Greater Detroit Agency, and it was a pretty good program. Like I said, a lot of young people enjoyed it, and it gave us an opportunity, a safe space to freely express ourselves, to build confidence and self-esteem. I think youth programs for the youth do that.
So both
So,
of you said you went to public schools,
yes.
and now I thought that they used to keep children separate, but they had separate classrooms.
They
but
did
now
back
they
in my day.
integrate.
In my day, up until the 6th grade, we were in separate classrooms.
But now they
But now
integrate you
they-
in this
yes.
classrooms. So how was each of you share from your perspective? How were your experiences? I know children can be cruel.
Yes.
So,
Yes,
so
they
how
can.
was that and navigating through that? Whichever one can go first, jump right in.
I'll let Kathy go.
It's so long ago. I was pretty fortunate in terms of not feeling necessarily picked on, but I did feel isolated because I was more in a group with people who could, the young people who couldn't see, and we were more isolated in that classroom. Even in high school, we had a special classroom to go back to, especially if it was something like a geometry class where we needed a clear explanation of what was going on. So sometimes it was special studies. I think
Did you have people that worked with you?
we did. We had a specialized teacher who knew how to help with that. I think where I felt isolated was socially, that I didn't have the connections with the sighted kids. I was very shy, so I didn't go to prom or any of that kind of stuff, and that was really hard. It took me longer to get through that. I did better once I got to college, but high school was hard.
And what about you, Misha?
School, growing up, as I said earlier, for the first, up until about the 4th grade, I was in a self-contained room. And 5th grade is when I started to be mainstream. And by the 6th grade, I was basically in the classroom with general ed students, and I would just go to a resource room as needed. But up until about the 4th or 5th grade, I really didn't realize I was visually impaired or legally blind. I didn't realize. I knew I had to wear glasses, and but I just thought, most people wear glasses. I didn't realize that my vision was so low until I got to middle school.
Mom,
And I
you
was-
must have been doing a really good job.
And I was,
She
because
don't like my her sister.
because I did everything, and I do mean
Roller bike.
everything. Rode bikes, roller skating, swimming, and different things that I was gymnastics. I mean, I did everything, did it all. So sometimes
Phenomenal woman.
yes, sometimes I needed help and sometimes I did not. But so when I got to middle school, that's when I realized that, I was in a class with general ed, and I'm like, well, I can't really see that well, and I'm not getting it's different now. So I was it wasn't a good experience for me. I was teased and
Like
it
I said,
was-
I know some children can be cruel.
it was really
Yeah,
bad.
it can be difficult. It was for
Mhm.
sure.
Yeah, it was
And
really bad.
parents, we've got to do better at teaching our
Mhm.
children not to be bullies, to
Mhm.
be kind, to be loving. I know as a grandmother, I would show, and still do periodically, show my grandchildren children that I can see on the internet that have challenges. Maybe they might have
Yes.
1 foot or no eye, whatever the challenge may be, to know that you're blessed. You didn't have to wake up the way you are with all your limbs and bones. So be thankful for that and still do something with it, because nobody's different. You're not different than anybody else, but there's just another challenge that you have that somebody else might not have, but they might have another challenge. So we have to be kind and show
Absolutely.
love. And I know that had to be something that you had to keep, because children, they
were
get their
cruel.
feelings hurt. Yeah.
And when it became so bad, I had to move her out of the school. But I had one of my best girlfriends. She was in education, and she would help guide me toward the best schools with programs for her.
Okay.
And then I knew, and I stayed in contact with all of her teachers. And the learning, especially we call learning specialists now. working with exceptional
Because
children.
that's what you ended up having a career
Yes, I had. Yes, I went into the career. I initially started out as a general ed teacher, and then I realized that I needed more experience and skill with children that were exceptional, because there's no such thing as one size fits all. So I went back to school while I still worked, but then I went into special ed, and I understand the how some children are ostracized. I understand in high school they would come late to my class because they didn't want the other students to know that they were coming to a class. They had a special ed teacher.
So you had to be kind of patient and
I
kind
was
with that.
Yes, yes.
They're not just trying to be late.
Exactly. And sometimes you just have to make exception. And in elementary school, the kids are just so wonderful, and I get a whole range of children. My area is in the specific learning disability, but I deal with exceptional children who are on the spectrum. I deal with children who are emotionally impaired, hearing impaired, and visually impaired. So I deal with them all, but it's all about learning the personality and making sure that they are feeling confident about who they are and what their abilities are, and to deal with that. And the system has become a lot better than when my daughter was going to school, and even with you.
Really?
It has.
It has.
It's gotten
Do you
better.
believe that? You don't know about that? I don't
But
know.
teasing is universal.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter
It is.
if you are
Well, I got
a movie
teased
star.
as a child too. Black
They're
Sambo, Tar
teased.
Baby.
Yes, they're teased for anything.
Mack Truck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, the Michigan Low Incident Outreach is a program for 3, 4, 5-year-olds that get identified for needing assistance with low vision or blindness or deaf or hard of hearing. And they now do what you were talking about, automatically do home calls for very early identified kids. So times have changed that way. I mean, I think the recognition that early intervention is crucial.
Very.
So they do that agency you spoke of does home calls to kind of check
They
on the
do.
children's
Yeah.
social
And integration
skills
with
and
the schools.
integration. Okay,
Yeah.
good. That's good. Because that can be challenging, and then you don't always want to tell your parents what's going on. Did you ever experience that, Misha, where you didn't want to always tell
Yes.
what somebody else was doing or being mean or?
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah. For sure.
I was one of those children. I've never liked bullies, never ever.
Yes.
And so, if I would protect the other person that was being bullied,
Okay.
and I have people that back when I was coming up, either you were the cool person or the gumpy person or the in between. I don't know what
Yes.
words they use now.
Yes.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I've had some of the people that were considered the gumpy people, all just, oh, you were so nice to me, and that's what we need to be doing.
Yes.
Be nice to people. Be
Yes.
kind to people.
Yes. Exactly.
Always.
Yes.
Not just because we're
Always.
all together here on this planet together.
That's right.
And we didn't have support groups back then. I do think that can help because you're sharing stories and information. It's not a boohoo group. It's a how to do and what the resources are, and
Yeah.
and we also have the phone family meetings that we hold because
Family and
families need
friends.
to hear from their side of things.
Do you participate in any of those things to
I
help other
do.
parents? Oh, good. Awesome.
I do. I've had the opportunity to be on a couple of Zooms,
Okay.
and a couple I have missed. But basically, I love that because it gives me an opportunity to hear what other loved ones are going through when they want to feel more empathy for their loved ones, and you don't want to overdo it. But then you have feelings. I don't want to say anything that may not be politically correct for Misha, and she's had to correct me on several occasions.
It's
Mama,
independent.
yes, Mom, don't, I just really want you I'm not asking you to solve the problem. I just need you to listen.
Just listen. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think that happens when I'm as a parent.
I was gonna
Mom,
say.
if I want your advice, I'll ask. I just need you to
Yeah.
listen.
Yeah. So I think that's an excellent program that the agency is doing. Kashana is over that one.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, she is. She does
So-
a good job.
Yeah, she
Tell
does.
us about some of the other programs and things that are offered, and then I want to talk about this 5K walk that we have
Gotta
coming
talk
up.
about that.
Yeah, exactly.
So the I think a lot of people are interested in the technology of how to get by today.
Mhm.
So I grew up before computers. So
I did
but,
too.
but it it opens all kinds of doors for people who can't see to be able to use a computer. You can get your news, you can get social activities. It was a game changer.
Mhm.
So, but to use a computer, you also have to learn keyboarding. So, I think being able to use a computer is still very important when you're going into any kind of job market, because you don't know that you could use your phone in those settings. You've got to be able to have computer skills. So that's still very
Yes.
important. And we have 10 computers at the agency with software that we call it a speech synthesizer. It talks to you.
And you all have wonderful, let me say, the agency is beautiful, and you have wonderful technology, wonderful services and equipment available.
So on those same computers, they have magnification programs. So if all I need to do is make things bigger or a color contrast of some kind, everybody's low vision is different. So sometimes the color changes make a difference. So that's important. And those are some of the things we have to evaluate for people to see what's going to be most beneficial to them.
And Kathy, you always remind us when we're making flyers and other things that low vision or no vision people, you can't see everything that we see. So we could do a flyer in a PDF, and you need it to be in what now?
Well, you can do a flyer in a PDF and make it what we call accessible, but there's some particular skills and things behind the background that have to happen. The one thing that probably drives you crazy too is when people send out a JPEG or a picture and expect us to know what it is. It literally is a picture. So
Sometimes
the screen reader
voiceover.
can't figure out what's in it at all.
Right.
And what about the voiceovers?
Sometimes the voiceover on the phone won't read describe the
Oh.
picture.
Okay,
either.
gotcha.
And those are, now we have two technology. We have to pay attention to what a computer does, and we have to pay attention to what the phones do. And there's two systems. You might have an Android phone or an iPhone. So the agency does a lot of training on those different things because they're all different, needed for different people.
So we've got about 4 more minutes.
Ooh.
Tell us about the 5K walk coming up.
Time flies.
It
Yes,
doesn't
it
it fly when
does.
you're having fun?
Okay.
It
So,
flies.
Yes, this is very exciting. We have a fun walk coming up on April 12th. We'll be getting information on the website probably within the next couple days. We had to work over the flyer a little bit.
And the website address is
The website address is lifebeyondsight.org.
lifebeyondsight.org. Go
Yes.
there today.
Yeah.
Send your loved ones, peruse it yourself, send your support.
So here's the fun thing about the walk.
Mm-hmm.
It's at the Velodrome. And the Velodrome
Yay.
is in Detroit, right at, 7 Mac or... No,
Mac
Mac
and it's I-75.
Yep, I have it written right here, and I
Mhm.
didn't even read it. I-75 Mac.
Mhm.
So
Right by the hospitals in the medical center area.
the cool thing about our April walk is it's indoors.
Mm-hmm.
We are doing a 5K. You can choose to walk that much or not because you're going around in a kind of a circle type system. We will have, we're working on having a silent auction. We'll have a lot of vendors there. We'll have, we're working on getting sponsors. So if anybody's listening who has a program or a service that they would like to advertise, please visit the website at lifebeyondsight.org. There'll be material there for you to let us know that you'd like to help out as a sponsor. And
The walk is going to start at what time?
It starts at 9 o'clock. The doors open at 9. The walk starts at 10.
So they can go right to the website at lifebeyondsight.org and register. And that'll
if
be
you
up
register
soon.
early, you get a break.
Yes, and
It's $35 to register before March.
24th or something. like
Yeah, it's down here. Let's see. Yes, if you register before March 29th, you will get a $35 registration. After the 29th, we're going to be needing to charge $45. You will get a T-shirt with your registration. And
if
there'll be
anyone
things
wants to
on-
call, what's the number to the agency?
The number to the agency is still the same as it was when I first started. It is 313, and I'm looking because I've had it in my head, and of course I'm not remembering.
Well, that's okay. They can go to lifebeyondsight.org, and we have this wonderful thing called Google. Go look it up. Greater Detroit Agency for the Blind and Visually Impaired. Not only do you want to walk and come out and have some fun and participate, and your support helps the agency with all the wonderful services that are provided. You've heard from two of the participants and board members right here who have benefited greatly from the Greater Detroit Agency for the Blind, and the Lions Club International is one of, and particularly District 11A1. I'm a Lions Club member as well. You got to become a Lions Club member, ladies. We'll talk about that later.
Yes.
And Kathy is a Lions Club member and the president of the Harper Woods Club.
I'm the past president of the Harper Woods Club, was for 4 years. Yes.
And I'm the president of the Detroit Westtown Harper Club. And so we really support. We're not the main supporters, but the Lions Club is one of our main things that we do is helping the blind.
Okay.
So we are huge supporters of do we have another role? I mean, we all work there and support it. The Greater Detroit Agency for the Blind and Visually Impaired. So get ready, tune in next week. We're going to be talking about prison reform, and then the week after that we're going to be back because Jim couldn't make it tonight, but he's going to come back, Jim Smock from the Greater Detroit Agency, on the 29th of January.
And he'll know the phone number.
Yes, he will.
So be sure and tune in and come on back. Every Wednesday, we're right here on Wjzz Cool TV, the coolest station in the world. We're so glad that you tuned in, and we thank you for all that you do. 2025, we're leveling up. It's going to be greater and greater in 2025. Thank you for all that you do.